I took a lot of risk in life, and I still continue to do so. There is no reward without risk. There is no large, great victory without trial and tribulation. That's just how the law works, how the law of life works. And so I want to share some things that really stood out to me in my pursuit of this journey. Because the more you begin to walk a specific path in your life, you got to learn how to dodge and navigate life, right? Everyone has their own goal, everyone has their own vision and their own dreams. But at the same time, people also have their own limitations. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone is going to have their own vision and perception of what's possible. And so you have to learn certain principles on how to protect yourself in the blossoming of this flower that is your ideal life, your dream. One of my dreams was I wanted to become a YouTuber. Back when I was in college, I got my first video that went viral and it hit 200,000 views. Everyone thought it was, you know, just a side hustle, or they looked at me as kind of funny or crazy, but it worked out. You know, I went viral. My college professors were showing my videos to other students. I would go into colleges and kids would greet me, you know? So there's always a process to when you have this thought of what it is you want, and the doing of that thought and learning how to make this like tangible step-by-step plan and process to the receiving of that desire. But at the same time, there's always a version of you that has, you know, that wants this thing, and then there's a version of you that has what you've previously wanted. Success isn't always going to be linear. It's not always going to be linear. You know, it's about having discernment. I think is the focus point of this video. Is you have to learn discernment. And discernment, if you guys don't know, is the ability to, you know, see what is going to help you in this blossoming of this reality you want to create for yourself. What is going to help you? What is not going to help you? Who is going to help you? What can aid you? So you have to have a clear vision in your mind, a clear end goal, but you also have to be very discerning. You know, and discernment is a gift. It's a gift that comes into your life. The more you get into situations that challenge you, where you have to reflect and think on the actions you took, on the thoughts you thought about, on the people you allowed in your presence. You learn this as you move towards your goal. And that's where the true sacrifice comes into play, is you have to be non-negotiating with your discernment. You know, it could be a friend, family member, coworker, whoever. If they do not align with that vision, if they put some resistance onto your vision, onto your life, you have to mentally take note. You can no longer surround yourself with this person, you know, because if you allow yourself to do that, you allow yourself to be deterred off of your track, off of your path. So you have to have perseverance. You have to have determination. You have to have a will unlike anyone around you in the beginning. You know, success is not only financial. You don't become successful just because you make a lot of money. You become successful when you realize that your mind is the greatest weapon that you have. The power of your thoughts, your energy. You become successful when you realize that you don't need anyone outside of yourself. You are God's highest creation. I've gotten around people who made a lot of money, but they were in survival mode. More in a survival mode than someone who was working a 9 to 5. survival mode internally, still feeling worthless, still, operating from a low sense of self? How can you be successful and still not love yourself, still not be at peace, relaxed? Isn't that the true concept of success? And so when you start to get around that environment, you start seeing it for yourself. That's where you break past the illusion of like what wealth can make life seem like. Oh, because they have a lot of money, they're successful. When success is internal, success is a state of mind, it is a state of being, of peace, presence, of forgiveness, of compassion. That's what we embody success to be. Someone who is noble, loyal, almost someone that walks like Christ, right? Lives a very righteous life, purpose-based life. So it's just very important that you look at the goal that you have in your life as your mission on earth. Because if you do not make it your mission on earth, you will not succeed. You will not succeed. And I don't want to scare you, but I will not lie to you. I met so many entrepreneurs. I met so many wannabe people, wannabe artists, wannabe actors, wannabe this, that. But it's like you don't really want it. Because if you really wanted it, you can't live without this thing. You can't live without it. You must embody the person fit for the achievement of that goal. And the person who is most fit for the achievement of that goal is always studying, is always working, is always trying to embody that version of himself, that person that deserves this, that is the best in his industry, that is the best in his career. That person has a lot of self-discipline and will say no to anything that is not in alignment with his goal. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship, lust, drugs, they will say no because they know that that is their mission on earth. They treat it as a spiritual, divine mission. And anything that they let slow them down is a manifestation of the devil, is the devil in itself. The devil does not have to be some burning, demonic creature. The devil can be, you missing the mark in your life. You missing your objective, your goal. You living an undisciplined life to show up every single day for what you say you want so gratefully in your life. So much in your life. I was reading today. I spent a lot of time reading. And it was talking about, the power of your mind. And you must match. You always want to think about what you want from everything in life, from every conversation, every person. You want to embody the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself is not going to be creating thoughts in your mind of someone hating on you or, you mentally arguing with people. No, in your mind, because now you are your best self. All you see is, in your mind, you're having conversations with people like you. You're helping people. You're hearing amazing things. I was reading this. And as I reflect back on my journey, I do notice that there were moments where when I thought about specific undesirable outcomes, they manifested. It could be me imagining just having an argument with someone because I'm in a bad mood. I remember going into work and someone wanted to get into a fight with me out of nowhere. I created that. I manifested that. And so becoming conscious of your inner dialogue, of what you envision, imagine, and what you experience in your life can do wonders. To people who are, sick, who are in need, just mentally rehearsing them and seeing them in your mind become fruitful in whatever it is that they are pursuing can do wonders. But something that stood out to me in this book that I was listening to was a gardener. A gardener goes out into his crop and removes the weeds time after time. He will remove the weeds because he knows if he does not remove the weeds, they will outgrow his actual crops, the fruit that he wants to bear. Right? And so when you are trying to create something in your life, you need to be mindful of what are the weeds that can outgrow your crops, the fruits that you want to see harvest and grow and prosper. You must take a mental inventory and remove these weeds. So where are some areas in your life where there are weeds growing in your life, preventing or blocking your manifestations? It could be bad habits, toxic friendships, situationships, lust. What are things that you need to remove in order so you can see what it is that you truly want grow in your life? You know, it's like, I don't know if you ever had fruit like tangerine or an orange. If you had a collective fruit bowl, all oranges, and if you just let them sit outside, you'll notice that one of them will start to spoil. And the closer that these other tangerines are, the next one is going to start to spoil as equivalent as the one that's spoiling first. It's similar like that in your life. You know, they say birds of the same feather flock together, something like that. Right? You want to look at your life, your habits, everything you do, the environment, everything as one. You need to treat it as one. And removing the weeds will empower you and align you with your greatest good, so you can have the mental focus and the capacity and the spirit of someone positive and holy, so you can make sure that in your mind you are only thinking of positive outcomes, positive conversations, everything you want pure and holy, as well as giving that to the world. And watch how your life will start to change. It has for my life. I reflect on my life, you know, and the journeys I've overcome, and the businesses I've tried, and the conversations, and the, you know, times of my life where I was truly in a mental rut, or I needed healing because in my mind I was angry, or I felt like a victim, or I didn't get this, I didn't get that. My life started changing when my mind started changing, when my emotions started to come from a place of anger and guilt and shame to like forgiveness of like myself and forgiveness of others who I felt like wronged me. It's like life mirrored my inner dialogue, my inner conversations. Then I went to a store and I got blessed. Or I met someone who just wanted to help me. The universe would just align me with the path of least resistance, with people on my frequency of self-forgiveness. Once I removed the weeds in my mind, the weeds in my outer life. So what weeds do you have to remove from your mind, from your life? Are they, you know, burdens? Are they relationships with people who don't serve you, who you're always fighting with? You're going back to the past. What things are bringing you back to the past? The past can be a big weed in our life because the past is gone. You don't get time back. So if the past is not enabling you, if it's not making you feel rich and more positive and blessed and grateful, then it's acting as a block to your greater version, to your greater manifestations. I see this with a lot of the people I serve. You know, they have relationships with people who are holding them back, or, you know, they are having these jobs that just bring them down. Something else I took away from this book is that if you notice nature always builds upward. It's building upward. It's never building downward. Nature does things in a specific way and fashion that if we follow it, we will reap those rewards too. And so building upward means building from a positive emotional state. Building downward means every time you're in a negative state, the results are always going to lead downward. It's just not going to help. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to work out. There's going to be a lot of resistance there. And so when I work with these clients of mine, I notice that there's a lot of resistance in these weeds, whether it's in a relationship or this job that's draining them. It's not uplifting them and making them feel more positive, more inspired, more, you know, godlike and capable of creating their manifestation, their desired reality. And once I'm able to help them see that this is energy that is swamp-like, that is bringing you down, and you need to release it and forgive yourself and just let it go, is where they're able to truly attract greater outcome. It's actually a law, and this law is the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice. Every single day we are sacrificing our lives. Every time you go into a store and buy something, you sacrifice the time it took for you to earn that money for something that you desire. You can never receive something without first letting go of something. You know, there's always death before new life. This is the law of sacrifice, the law of life. And so what are you sacrificing yourself for? What are you willing to sacrifice yourself for? My whole life, I've always relentlessly sacrificed my previous version for a new version, my previous comfort for growth, or just the money I had for a coach. I've always been on the pursuit of something greater. But every single season of my life, I was willing to shed the old, kill my old self for a greater version of myself. That takes a lot of courage. So where do you have the courage in your life to take a step towards a greater version of yourself? Because in order to achieve something greater, you need to let go of something that isn't serving you. You need to sacrifice.